It's getting close to Christmas, and I would like to mention a Christmas tradition my family does every Christmas Eve, the Muppet Christmas Carol. With this version, it must have required some balls and some clever humor to take a classic Christmas story from Charles Dickens and just laugh the Muppets onto it. This is basically another abridged retelling of the classic story with some Muppet-exclusive gags thrown in. I always remember the VHS trailer from the openings to other Jim Henson tapes.
Coming soon on video cassette, Walt Disney Pictures presents a Jim Henson production of a classic Christmas tale.
Now before I get there, I have to say that I would know that some people would detest the idea of Muppets in such a classic Christmas story. In fact, listen to this from the trailer.
Yes, Mr. Cratchit.
At first I thought he said, "Yes, Mr. Kermit," but I gradually started to get the idea and start to get slightly pissed off that Kermit actually played Bob Cratchit. So what he was saying was, "Yes, Mr. Cratchit." How can anybody tell that this guy is Bob Cratchit? It's Kermit! God damn it. Can't you tell that this character has a frog-like look? Now back to the other topic. People really hated the idea of Muppets in this movie. In fact, Miss Piggy plays Bob's wife. Now I can't blame them for making Miss Piggy be Mrs. Cratchit because isn't it supposed to tie in with Muppet logic? Miss Piggy is supposed to be Kermit's fiancée in the franchise. Oh yeah, there's also Robin as Tiny Tim. Again, same thing as Miss Piggy, I don't need to explain. On top of the slight awfulness of casting famous Muppets as characters from the real story, we also have Gonzo as Charles Dickens. Would have been awful, but Rizzo actually made fun of it.
Hey, wait a second. You're not Charles Dickens.
I am too.
Oh, Gonzo, speak to me. I mean, Mr. Dickens. Charlie, are you hurt? Okay, that does it.
Pardon?
How do you know what Scrooge is doing? We're down here and he's up there.
Now, although some Muppets played a majority of the characters, give this movie credit, at least they got a human being to play Ebenezer Scrooge, Michael Caine. His performance rocks.
Every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be cooked with his own turkey and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
Especially when he's yelling. At first I didn't really like it because back then I couldn't stand yelling. Even in that one point in the trailer. Well, actually, I could stand him yelling. I just literally couldn't stand watching him yell. Now, I can't get enough of it. Even when he's crying, he nails it.
Oh, please, Spirit, no. Hear me, I'm not the man I was.
Now, like most Muppet movies, this one is a musical. Usually, I don't like musicals that much. Now, don't hate me on that. I have nothing against musicals. They just usually aren't that interesting, and the numbers bore me out. But some of the numbers in this movie are actually awesome, like this one.
It is the season of the Spirit.
One of the more boring ones is actually from one of the turning points of the movie.
Bless us all who gather here.
I don't like that one as much because it doesn't sound as kick-ass as some of the others. And on top of that, this may be a little too long for me. Speaking of this movie being a musical, did you know that some of the numbers were recorded but not written in? Yeah, just imagine these scenes in the picture.
Anybody can change Scrooge, and so can you. When you're ready to start, there's room in your heart for love.
If you do what's right, if you prove you're bright, you'll be chairman of the board.
On top of removing these songs from the movie, in the theatrical version, they even removed this song.
There was a time when I was sure that you.
When I was little, this song was burned into my brain. Now, we were watching the VHS version back then, but when we got the DVD version in 2005, we decided to watch the widescreen version. And when we noticed this song is missing, my mom complained about it. And you know what we did? We switched to full screen and watched that number. Apparently this song was removed because the studio thought it wouldn't be appropriate for children. That cut was so obvious, Brian Henson didn't want them to remove it because it is very important in the plot. In fact, there is an opposite feeling reprise at the end of the movie.
The love we found. The love we found.
Now back to the musical topic. If they had managed to retain When Love Is Gone, as well as the other two missing from the script songs, to me, the movie would feel like there's a musical number every 5 minutes. If that happened, then I would feel as annoyed as the Nostalgia Critic when he summed up the number of songs in The Pebble and the Penguin.
Look how we get along.
Please, no more! I'm done! I'm done with these fucking songs! There's like a bajillion of them in this movie! Can't you just say things? Can't you just speak for 1 minute?
Thank God they removed some of them. Now, according to Rotten Tomatoes, this isn't exactly a perfect retelling of A Christmas Carol, but it's a great introduction to the story for kids who are avid Muppet fans. But unlike some people, I don't think this movie is that bad. Unlike the fact that this is the first Muppet movie since the death of Jim Henson, they still haven't lost an ounce of humor when clashing the Muppets with A Christmas Carol. The plot still retells the most basic parts of the general story, but there are a few parts of the movie that aren't even in the original story, like this.
Jacob and Robert Marley!
I mean, really? Robert Marley? Why the fuck does Jacob Marley need a brother? Though I gotta give them credit, Sattler can't fit into a scene without Waldorf. They're like Siamese twins, but for fuck's sake, at least make Jacob Marley a human being, or at least another Muppet. When I was little, I seriously thought Robert Marley was part of the original story. This movie ruined my childhood. Yeah, I know, it's nitpicking, but I know that Statler and Waldorf are two of the most famous Muppets in the franchise. Give them credit. Anyway, what should I give this movie overall? I know, how about 8 out of 10? Although this movie has unnecessary Muppet characters, it still retells the original story nicely, and according to what I've experienced throughout my life, this is the only movie that gets me into pure Christmas spirit every night on Christmas Eve.